Hello everyone and welcome to another Rewind Reviews recommendation. In this video I'm taking a look at something a little bit different, and that is Superman, the Christopher Reeve story. Released in 2024, this documentary follows the life of Christopher Reeve and charts his rise to stardom, the near-fatal horse-riding accident that left him paralysed from the neck down, and his journey towards becoming an activist for spinal cord injury treatment and disability rights. The movie is directed by Ian Bonnot and Peter Ettedgui, who co-writes alongside Otto Burnham, and features interviews with Will Reeve, Matthew Reeve, Alexandra Reeve-Givens, and Gay Exton. Now, first things first, you're probably wondering why it is that I'm doing a recommendation for this movie rather than doing a review, and truthfully, the reason being is because I wouldn't really know how to, and nor would I feel right doing a review for something like this. But I knew that I needed to at least talk about this movie because I do think that it is important, and I do think that it is worth watching. For those who are not familiar with Christopher Reeve, he is best known for being Superman in 4 separate appearances in the 1970s and 80s, and he went on to do other roles in movies such as Somewhere in Time, Death Trap, The Aviator, and Village of the Damned. And he even went on to direct a few projects as well. In 1995, he suffered a near-fatal injury whilst horse riding that left him paralysed from the neck down and wheelchair-bound for the rest of his life. But he found the strength to keep going and not only push himself towards potential recovery, he, along with his family and close friends, established a foundation to fund research and help those living with paralysis. This film covers everything. It goes from Christopher Reeve's early years in theatre all the way through to when he passed in 2004, and goes beyond that to the present day, and shows the work that the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation has achieved. Obviously, with this movie being produced by DC Studios, their first official big screen movie by the way, which is an exciting prospect, there is a heavy emphasis on Superman and the impact that Superman had on Christopher Reeve's life, both the good and the bad. And there are scenes where they do use clips from all 4 movies to show parallels and metaphors to emphasise what's being talked about. But it doesn't linger on him playing Superman too much throughout this movie, which I do think is the right decision. It is a big part of this, yes, and they do discuss the development process behind the movie, including one story about the casting process and who is up for the role of Superman. Apparently Arnold Schwarzenegger was up for Superman at one point in time, and the producer who's telling this story is saying that yes, he has the look and the physique of Superman, but you can't really hear him saying things like, I fight for truth, justice, and the American way. Now let's just make him say a load of ice puns instead. Anyway, but no, the main focus of this movie, as the title suggests, is telling the life story of Christopher Reeve through the eyes of his family and close friends. This is a very touching, very personal insight into what his and his family's lives were like before and after the accident, and it uses a mixture of techniques to help tell this story and show the joys and struggles. And seeing how he dealt with everything and his determination to not only get back up on his feet, but help the lives of other people with other very similar disabilities is both very powerful and very inspirational as well. Prior to seeing this movie, my knowledge of Christopher Reeve was pretty limited. Obviously, I knew he played Superman. I've seen some of the other movies that he has appeared in. I knew about the accident. I knew about him being paralysed, but I wasn't aware of how severe his injuries actually were and the surgeries that he had to go through, plus his career after the accident as well. I won't lie, this movie is a tough watch, and seeing what it is that both he and his family went through is genuinely heartbreaking. Word of caution, keep tissues nearby because you will need them. Anyway, plus I was quite pleasantly surprised to find out how close Christopher Reeve was to Robin Williams. I had heard somewhere that they did know each other, but I didn't realise just how close they actually were, to the point where they were basically like brothers. And throughout this movie, several of the interviews do bring up stories that do involve Robin Williams. I had heard one story before, and that does get brought up in this, and it's just after the accident and Christopher Reeve is in hospital, and Robin Williams decided to go and pay him a visit. And Robin Williams shows up at the hospital and he's got to wear a facial mask because of hygiene, and he decides to put on a lab coat and he gets a clipboard and he goes into Christopher Reeve's room and he's sporting this really thick Russian accent, and he goes up to him and he goes, "Ah, Mr. Reeve, I'm here to examine your organs." And apparently that is the first time that Christopher Reeve actually smiled and laughed after the accident. And I will admit that story did make me smile too. It really is heartwarming seeing just how supportive all his friends and family were. This does do a good job of balancing everything really well. It doesn't completely linger on the more upsetting aspects. It shows the good, the light, and the straight up inspirational too. The use of archival and home footage, the very personal interviews with Christopher Reeve's family and friends, including some very big Hollywood A-listers like Jeff Daniels, Susan Sarandon, Whoopi Goldberg, and even Glenn Close. The addition of this digital Greek godlike statue cutaway that sometimes is encrusted in kryptonite, which is very creative and clever and used to visualise what's happening to Christopher Reeve with some really beautiful imagery, and a really rousing score from Aylan Eshkeri. This is a brilliant and heartfelt tribute to the one who made everyone believe that a man can fly, and the man along with his family and friends who made and are still making a positive, seismic change to the lives of those living with paralysis. This is a fantastic movie that I wholeheartedly believe that you should see. Even if you aren't familiar with Christopher Reeve or Superman, I do think that this is worth seeing. And that is why I am recommending this movie. Please see it. And again, make sure you have tissues nearby. This was a very unique experience for me because I've never actually seen a documentary on the cinema before. Over here in the UK, this movie only had about 5 days theatrical release, so I made sure to go and see it. And in all honesty, I am glad that I did. I will admit there was a little part of me that did hope that they would address Christopher Reeve's appearances on Smallville. I used to love that show, but I can also admit that I don't think that would have added anything else to this. What they choose to focus on, which parts of his career both before and after the accident that they want to highlight, I do think that they made the right decisions. This was a fantastic documentary and I do think that it is worth your time. Well, I think that is pretty much everything I want to say for this video, so if you have watched this video, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoy this content, please like, subscribe and be sure to hit that notification button. If you have seen Superman the Christopher Reeve story, let me know down in the comments what you think about it. Plus, if you have any suggestions for any future Rewind reviews or recommendations you would like to see me do, let me know down below. But until next time, thank you very much for watching and I shall see you in the next video. See you guys.